Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me in DeborahAdele's craft room. Tonight I will be showing you how to paint an elf on a gourd. I'll be using Americana paints, acrylic paints by DecoArt. These are the colors that I'll be using. There will be a list of color names in the description underneath the video. Okay, the first thing you do is get a gourd, prepare it, like my second video. You put a little hairpin in it for the hanging loop, and then you paint it. The first color I'm using is forest green. This is for the entire gourd. We'll be painting the entire gourd forest green. The stains that are showing there will cover right up because this forest green is very nice. Covers beautifully. The gourd does not need a sealer. It seems to absorb the paint better without a sealer. As you can see, that stain is gone. I just love this forest green paint. Now I have a different gourd here that has already been painted with 2 coats. And I'm going to be base coating the face on the front. You'll want to pick the best side of your gourd. Does not have to be a spoon gourd, but you'll want to pick the best side of your gourd that will hang forward so that it'll be hanging naturally on the tree. Okay, so now I am going to be using Toffee for the flesh color. On this gourd here, I drew the face on a little circle. I don't know if you can see it or not. And I drew the ears on. What I did for the ears is I cut out a piece of cardstock into the shape of an ear. And after the oval was drawn on for the face, I just set the ear piece next to it and used a pencil to go around so that both ears will be the same. You flip it over to the other side and you do it again, so the ears will show. Okay, now here it is. I got a number 6 DecoArt Traditions flat brush. The only reason I'm using a 6 instead of an 8 is because the gourd is smaller. And you go around, and the lines really do help. Although, if you don't need them, you don't need the pencil lines, then don't worry about it. Okay. You paint the face first. You'll have to change brushes because the flat brush is a little difficult to paint the ears with. You'll need a round brush for that. Okay, and this will also need 2 coats. Okay, so there's one step done. And now I'm going to be getting, this is a number 3 round, also DecoArt Traditions paintbrush, and you see the lines. They're a little hard to see on the green, but you follow the lines and you make a cute little pointy ear. there's one ear. They're pretty big ears, but they're a little bit covered up with hair and stuff later, so. Smooth all the paint out so you don't leave ridges. And there you have it, an elf face with the ears. Now you set this down to dry and then put a second coat on. Now here's another gourd. It's already been second coated. Ears are on. This gourd's a little bigger, so I made two different ear templates. This one is for, there it is, the big ear. And this one was for the little ear. You just kind of, you know, cut until you like the ear. Okay, so now on this one, we're going to do some shading. Let me get these brushes cleaned up so I can shade with them. Okay, now I'm going to be using a color called DeLane's Dark Flesh for this elf's shading on his face. The little dot there. Okay. Put a little water on the brush, scrape it off, touch it to pull all the excess water out, and what you do is you put some paint on. That's too much. Let me start again. Okay, put a little paint on the brush, you can see it, and go around his chin with this flesh color. You want to give him a rosy face because, you know, he lives in the North Pole after all. And drag it along. There you go. Then dip again and get a little more. Go around his ears. You see that? One ear. Now the second ear. I'm just going around the outside of his ear first because I don't want to pull that shading off here when I go down there. So now another bit of shading across the top of his forehead. You might want to practice the shading if you're not a painter already. Practice, practice, practice. I practiced quite a bit. I think it was 6 months before I got it all figured out, but that was a long time ago, thank goodness. Okay, now we're going to be shading the front tip of his ear, right here. And the tip here. Okay, he is shaded. What you do next is, well, what I did was I made a Sculpey clay ball. What you do is you you know, get a piece of Sculpey and, you know, roll it in your hands and stick a hole in the bottom with a toothpick. And I put one on each end of the toothpick. And then I baked it in the oven with the manufacturer's instructions. I think it was for 15 minutes. And you can buy a Sculpey that's a flesh color already, or you could use any color Sculpey that you have and just paint it Toffee, because the Toffee covers very nicely. Now you leave the toothpick in, because that's how you attach it to the gourd. What I do next, I find the center spot of the nose, for the nose. I look at it and then I turn it over, and of course it's not in the center because I miss the center all the time. Okay. And of course I got some eraser mark on it, which I don't like, so I'm going to cover that up. Alright, there we go. Now you get a drill, and you put the drill right on the nose spot. And you drill it in. Now I forgot to bring the glue out here, so I'm going to just stick it in, hope it stays for now, and I'll glue it later. And now you have an elf nose, which is cuter than a bug's ear. Now you take your paintbrush, again, to shade with the DeLane's Dark Flesh, and put the end in, and you go over the top of the nose, which is not going to work because the nose is not glued. Okay, there we go, and I'm holding it with my thumb. And there you have it. Next thing we do are the eyes. And you do those with black. You get a pretty big brush bottom. Let me see if I can find one here. This one right here. It's pretty flat. This is a gloss paint brush, but the bottom of it very, very good for the eyes. So you put one dot, okay, then another dot next to it. I like the eyes close together. There you go. Get a liner brush now, and put a little water in it, twirl it out so it's nice and pointy, and you put some eyelashes on your, see that? The eyelashes? There you go. Now you do the eyebrows with black, and you put it down like this, the brush, and just make a curved line. Make them go up a little so that the elf does not look mad or anything. There you go. If you don't like your eyebrows, just paint them over, wait for it to dry, and do them again. Okay, now the mouth. This is a little more difficult for beginners. I just put the brush down over here and make a line. And there you go. If you don't like how it looks, you can either, touch it up or paint over it. Do it again. Now you make little smile cheek lines here. Then you make a little mouth part underneath. Next we put little ear lines in. Okay, again with a liner, run it through the thinned out black, and you make a little mark like this. Okay, it's like a, the way I'm looking at it, I don't know how the camera's going to put it out there, but it looks like a backwards S to me. Now the other side, you do just the opposite. There you have it. If you don't like your lines, again, you can use the Toffee to touch them up. I have a little jog here I don't like. Okay. All right, there you go. So far, so good. I'm going to use red Iron Oxide for his hair. You can use brown or yellow too, but I've never done that to see how a blonde-haired elf looks. But okay, so what you do next, you get a big amount of paint, and you start down here like this. And you draw a line up. Then you do it again over here. You skip a little area. See how that looks? Then another. Start up a little higher. Then you go to the other side. Can do this without ruining those eyes. Okay, up we go. See how that looks? Okay, see how. Now you can leave it with 3 on one side, 2 on another. You can. What I like to do is put 2 on one side, kind of looks like a side part that way, and then I put a couple of little bangs on there. I think I'll add, oops, that's the wrong color. Here, I think I'll add one more over here, because there was a space. Make sure all the toffee is covered at the top. If you've missed a little. Okay. There you have it. So far, so good. You get some white. And your fine liner brush. Put a little bit of white on the brush, not really a little, but some. And then you make 2 little dots here. 1, 2. And now the next thing we're going to do is, if you have a stem on your gourd, paint the stem. I like to paint them white. They look like little tassels that way. And if you make a mistake like I just did, getting it on the green, you get the green out again and just touch it up. See, I got a little bit on the gourd, so I'm going to cover it up. Ta-da, done. The next thing that we can do, and you can do this before you put the mouth on, which I probably really should have done, but you get some of that blush stuff and you put it on the cheeks. I don't even know what this is, but any of your makeup you can use. And blush the cheeks up a little bit. See how that looks? Maybe a little darker. Okay, there you go. Now I'm going to do the other. Okay. I'm going to get this color Hauser medium green, because you don't want the greens to match when you do the holly berries and leaves, because the holly leaves will disappear. So like before on my other video, you put a line here, a little angle, so that those are guidelines for your holly leaves. Then make the little curve marks like a holly leaf shape. Fill it in. You might need to put 2 coats of this on, but you can decide, you know, after it's dry, what you think. See those? We'll let that dry a minute, do a couple other things while we're waiting. I'm going to get a toothpick for this. I'm going to put some little shine marks on his face. Dip the toothpick into white paint. Touch his nose. And there's a little shine. His eyes are dry enough, so we'll touch his eyes, both on the same side of the eye, so that he doesn't look cross-eyed. And there his eyes are. You can also do the teeth with a toothpick too, instead of a brush. Okay. I'm going to have to put a second coat of green on the holly leaves. And while they dry, I'm going to put some gold dots, like I did on my Santa Claus, across the forehead. or across the bottom of the hat. He's a little bigger than the other ones because the gourd is bigger than the Santa. Dip, dot, dip, dot, and it's pretty hard not to get your fingers in the wet paint when you do this. You might want to wait for it to dry completely. Three dots. Okay, so there you go with the 3 dots. Now we are going to put the, there it is, Santa Red. We're going to put the holly berry leaves, or holly berries on the leaves. I have my number 8 flat. I'm going to use the back end of it. Dip, dot. We're going to make a triangle. Dip, dot, dip, and dot. And there you have it. I think he's done. Let me look. Completed elf. What I would do, what I'll do after this is completely dry, I'll get some Americana DuraClear gloss varnish, and I will varnish this whole gourd front first, set it down so it doesn't roll. When that's dry, then you do the back, 2 coats in the front, 2 coats in the back, and it'll be beautiful, shiny. So, there you go. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you get notified of future videos. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye now.